Hello, hello. Today we're going to have a really good conversation about the number one thing that I think leads people to never achieving their goal, and or worse, when they do achieve it, why they backslide. Like the number one reason. It's that little voice inside your head. I had a client who unfortunately lost her sister to COVID over a month ago, like 2 months ago. And since being home, she has had a very difficult time getting back into the routine, eating at her calorie goals, tracking her food, all the basic stuff, right? And we set up a very simple thing. I said, look, I want you to write your food down. Don't worry about how many calories it is. If it's 5,000 calories, it doesn't matter. Just write it down. Go for a 10-minute walk every day. Try cooking your food at home. These were the 3 things I asked her to do. And we checked in several times. She was having a very hard time with it. A month goes by. She hasn't done any of these things consistently for 7 days. We talk about why. Why did that happen? She says, well, I kept thinking to myself, I should be back where I was before my sister passed. I should be able to count my calories like I was doing before. This shouldn't be so hard. I had all these habits down. And she says, did you ever struggle with this, Heather, in your journey? Was there like a couple steps forward, a few steps back? Did you have this problem? And I said, yes, but see, the difference is I learned to be more self-compassionate and not so judgy. All the past attempts I made at weight loss, super judgy. And you do it too. You have this moment where everything's clicking. You're hitting your target, you're meal prepping, you're grocery shopping, you're doing the workouts, you're crushing it, right? And this is where the Back to Basics challenge and the Half Size Me community kind of originated from, this idea of basic, minimum, and preferred. What I learned in my weight loss journey, it took 5 years. Do you think for 5 years it was smooth sailing with young children, toddlers, babies? Heck no. Every day was a guessing game as to what would happen. There was plenty of days that I didn't have my stuff together, 100%. But I said to myself, do what you can do today. And when we fall off the proverbial wagon or horse or whatever thing you want to say you fell off of, instead of thinking you should be somewhere else, the acceptance of where you are is necessary. And that's the thing. That's the disconnect. People compare themselves to others, and they compare themselves to where they once were in the past. They are not willing to be honest and say, that's not where I am right now. Yeah, 6 months ago, I was rocking it. All this was happening. Something happened. I relocated to a new job. I had a baby. My family member passed away. I've been grieving. Whatever the thing is that disrupted the flow of what you were doing. And to say, okay, these are my very low-hanging fruits. I say sometimes to my client, let's put the bar on the ground, right? Everyone says lower the bar, put the bar on the ground. All I want you to do, write down what you ate. But the judgy voice in your head says, but you can't put down you just ate a half a loaf of bread. Yes, you can. And if you're not honest with yourself, if you don't just say this is what I'm doing right now, how can you improve? And that judgy voice that says this is what you once were doing, you shouldn't be doing this, this is ridiculous, you had all these habits down, comparison, judgment. It's keeping you stuck. For 1 month for this girl, she let that voice convince her not to get 7 days of doing the things we talked about. And I said to her, she goes, well, what do I do when it comes back? And I said, you tell it, shut up. You say, you know what? I listened to you for a month. All this, I should be here. I should be there. I can do this. We did this in the past. Why are we at this level? Shut it down and say, no, I listened to you. And when I listen to you, I throw up my hands in frustration and I stop. My mission, critical, 7 days, to take a notebook, write down what I ate. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be an entire cake. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk and I'm going to cook my food at home. That was her goals. It doesn't mean that has to be your goals. But this was somebody who at one point was able to hit her calorie goal. This was somebody who was prepping food on the weekend. She was doing all these things. And right now she's not there, and that's okay. You're not always going to be there. That's the problem, right? we get in our head because we once did something well, we should be doing it well all the time. We should never have these regressive moments. We should never have these fall down moments. You 100% will. She will again. I will again. You're going to have death. You're going to have grieving. You're going to have these things happen. Expect you're going to get knocked in the dirt. It's going to happen. You then say, you know, my goal's never to be perfect all the time. My goal's never to be at my preferred status all the time. My goal is when I get knocked down, because it will happen, when I get knocked down, I am going to give myself the compassion to restart where I am. That's the goal. To give yourself compassion to restart where you are, let go of judgment, and say, I don't care if I was rocking this thing for 3 years. I'm not going to hold that over my head. I'm going to say, this is where I am right now. Put the bar on the ground. What can I do today to move this forward? What you also want to remember, wherever you're trying to get back to, it starts with getting back to basics. So if you want to track at a calorie target, whether it's maintenance, weight loss, whatever, just tracking is step number one. If you aren't writing down what you're doing, hitting any target is impossible, right? But what our brain does is it confuses us. It tells us, well, no, you have to, no, write down the food. Don't worry about the calorie amount. Just write it down. Baby step your way there. Because once you're writing your food down consistently, then saying, oh, you know what? What could I take out of breakfast, lunch, or dinner to make my calories a little bit more reasonable? That's doable. Or, hey, you know what? I'm having 5 treats a day. Could I maybe cut a couple of those out? Sure. But here's the thing. As long as your brain tells you that because you're not where you once were, you have failed, you're never going to get back there, you can't do anything below that level because it's ridiculous, you shouldn't have to do this, you know what to do, that is why people fail. Right there. You have got to be stronger than that nagging, annoying part of your thinking that holds you up to standards that you once had and doesn't allow for you to be human unless you have figured out how to opt out of the human experience, meaning you're never going to have a loved one die. Good luck with that. You're never going to have tragedy or sadness or loss. Good luck with that. You're going to always be human. You can't circumvent this. So you have one of two options. You can always think that somehow you should be above human status when it comes to handling and managing your feelings and thinking about those events, and you should always be 100% rock solid, which I can tell you is not the human nature to be. Or you can be the more compassionate, let me say, you know what, when we fall down, when we are kind of not doing all of our habits the way we're used to, I'm going to give myself the grace and space to rebuild them at whatever rate I can. Just like I would give a loved one the space and grace to build habits, behaviors that maybe they don't possess right now, but I'm not going to think they should be somewhere that they're not. I'm going to actually extend that to myself because I know if I don't, I will continue to flounder week after week, month after month, year after year. And this is why people gain all their weight back. This is why they don't get to their goal. Because when they get knocked off the pedestal, when they're doing super good, everything's going great, and something comes along and it shakes them up, they don't want to grant themselves the grace. They don't want to give themselves the space and compassion. They want results right then. They want something desperate that they can hold on to that makes them feel like they have control. But the reality is, you're not there. You're not on the pedestal anymore. It's okay that you're on the ground. Your goal is to give yourself the space and kindness to gently work your way back up the ladder to get to the top. And to know you're going to get knocked down again. Think about that. In all the years I've been doing this, it's been 15 years, I've gotten knocked off that pedestal so many times. And I just say, it's okay, Heather. You're human. Let's work you back up. Let's work on that habit. Start where you are, right? And that is how you stay in this game. Not by thinking you should never have gotten knocked off the pedestal to begin with. To anticipate you are. To know your face is going to be in the dirt. To know that those things that were once super easy might feel really far away. And to say, I'm not going to expect that I will be back to my usual. It might take me months, and that's okay. That's the hard part. Like if we're talking Herculean effort, That's the Herculean effort. Nobody wants to do that. People feel wildly uncomfortable in a place of not being where they once were. But sometimes you have to be, and you have to sit with the discomfort, and you have to allow yourself to build back up to where you were. And it takes as long as it takes. You can't rush all that. So when you get to that point, you kind of will be okay, because you'll keep getting knocked down and you'll keep getting back up, and it'll happen at whatever rate it happens. And you're not going to be expecting yourself to never have these situations. So I hope this message resonates. Why do people fail? Why do they not get to their goal? Why do they not stay at their goal? Because they don't understand that they will get knocked off. They will be starting back at square one, and that's okay. 100% okay. To be expected, actually. And that they have to give themselves the kindness, compassion, and grace to slowly build back up by lowering the bar, putting it on the ground, as I like to say, and stepping over it. And then raising it an inch, stepping over it. And it takes as long as it takes. There's no rush. Because as soon as you get it reestablished, who knows, that might be the next time something happens, right? So just changing your mindset about it is huge. You guys, like and subscribe, share the videos with anybody you think it would be helpful for, and I will talk to you soon.